rated running back out of LSU in this year's draft detailed conversations he had with teams at the Combine in Indianapolis, saying, quote, "I go in one room, and a team will ask me, do I like men, just to see my reaction. I go in another room. They'll try to bring up one of my family members or something and tell me, hey, I heard your mom sells herself. How do you feel about that?" Dez Bryant was also asked similar questions about his mother, and most recently, a Falcons assistant apologized for asking Eli Apple in 2016 if he was gay, a question the NFL later called disappointing and clearly inappropriate. On that note, we bring Will Kane to the show. Good to see you, as always, Will. Thanks for being here. I want to start with you. What's your reaction to NFL brass asking these type of questions about someone's mother and their sexuality?
Well, I think those two questions are different, but my reaction isn't outrage. I mean, don't worry, there's plenty of people out there to cover that base for you. I understand why these questions are asked. I don't really think the questions are asked because the answer matters. I don't think people are interested in whether or not Dez Bryant's mom was a prostitute or Derrius Guice's mom was a prostitute. I don't think they're interested, honestly, in someone's sexuality. Although that one, I don't know. There could be discrimination depending on the answer. The larger point is what they're trying to do is get a reaction from these guys. They're trying to psychologically evaluate these guys. Are the questions inappropriate? Yes. Are they ridiculous? Yes. And that's the point. The point is, by the way, I don't like this broad brush of treating them all the same, because the question regarding sexuality may or may not be against the law. That one still has to be completely nailed down. The NFL knows and says it's against their CBA and against their policy, so that one shouldn't be asked anyway. But everyone wants to get caught up in this. The point is, whether you agree or disagree with it, understand what it's about. You want to see how somebody reacts to psychological pressure. And it's not really about, hey, can you handle trash talk on the field? It's not even about how it might be in the locker room. But we have people in every walks of life, in every business, from sports to Hollywood to whatever it may be. And off-the-field issues are what take them out of their game, not their ability to pursue their passion and their profession at the highest level. So the best you can, you want to find out, what makes this guy tick? How does he react to pressure? Are they all good questions? No. But let's not play the outrage game of, oh, my God, how dare you act. The point is the outrage. That's the point.
Well, I think you're wrong. They have... Go ahead, Max. Go ahead, Max.
They have extremely poor tools for evaluating the psychology of players in the NFL, which is why they get it wrong so often, apparently. It feels to me, actually, like this is their last chance to demean young men who are about to be much richer than the people asking them the questions. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like to me, Will. I know that you are now part of the chorus of people who are outraged by the outrage. It's actually a form of outrage.
Well, you come out and you tell me how something feels to you as opposed to the way it is.
I would say that it's a poor tool for evaluating, which is why they get it wrong so often. And that's what it feels like. Well, you know, oh, this is what the intention is. Well, maybe that's the stated intention. Here's the thing. If I know they're going to ask those kind of questions, you think the players don't? So if they're ready for it, what's the point in asking them? And if they are ready for it, you know what I'd like to see in a player? I'd like to see if someone asks him a question about his mother like that, the player punch the dude in the face. That's the appropriate, like, what are we talking about here? You want a player who's going to sit there docile and accept something like that? That's not the reaction I'd want from a member of my full contact sports team. I would like to see some full contact.
Hold on, can I address that, Max? Can I address that quickly?
Hold on. No, wait, I'm not done. I'm not done, Will. And hold on a second. And if they're right, one day that's going to happen. They're going to be right. In other words, they're going to say, do you like men? Which is illegal to ask, incidentally. And sorry for all the stupid people in the NFL who don't understand this. NFL rules don't supersede U.S. law, dummies. So if anyone thinks that, they're wrong. And it is illegal to ask that question. And the point is, if the answer is yes, what if the guy came out and said, yeah, that's right? Does that make him a worse football player? Or let's say that is true about someone's mother, and they said, yeah. What if it's both? What if it's a gay player and that's true about his mother? He said, yep, What then? Does that disqualify them
Max,
from
this is
playing
why I want to
football?
address that.
Your claim is...
There's no wrong answer. You're the one assigning values to the answer. You're right. If you ask somebody if their mother is a prostitute and they get completely upset at you, it might reveal they stand up for themselves. Who knows what the right answer is? And you're absolutely right. There's no wrong answer to are you gay? There's no wrong answer. You're the one assuming there is. See, the question is benign. The answers you're assigning values to. I think in the end, the people outraged are telling on themselves that you think there's a right answer. You think there's a wrong answer. It's a question.
Stephen A.?
You're assuming that the interviewer wants a certain reaction from you. That's the assumption people make in all interview environments.
No, information.
Guys,
interviewee normally is.
Let's let Stephen A. get in here, and you guys can keep going at it.
First of all, Max Kellerman, I mean, listen. I think you're being entirely too emotional about it. And by the way, I'm going to protect my partner, Max Kellerman, by telling the world he is not condoning violence. He was speaking facetiously. He's not literally advocating that a player punch somebody in the face for asking them the question. That would be a criminal act just because you were asked something you didn't like.
Thank you.
I'm going to assume. I'm going to assume you were being facetious, okay?
That's a good assumption.
Okay, fine. Now, let me get back to you, Will. I think we're all on the same page here in terms of the question being inappropriate and what have you. But where you and I part ways, Will, is the intent behind it. You just think they're trying to get a reaction out of these players. What I think you're missing is that there are some individuals that have their own core beliefs. And whatever their core beliefs may be, as a result of being able to ask those kind of questions and get away with it, they're opening the gateway towards their biases and their prejudices, whatever they may be, which is not something that falls under the guise of a universal policy exacted by the National Football League. And that's what you're guarding against. Here's how I can prove, Will, that I'm making my point. You are sitting up here debating back and forth with Max Kellerman. One of the things that you're pointing to him talking about, or you're pointing to as one of his points being, is the fact that he feels the way that he feels, so he's attaching a certain level of emotion, a certain level of meaning and definition to it. Well, let's just say for a second that Max Kellerman isn't a debater on First Take. Instead, he's an NFL executive. If he indeed feels the way that you said that Max Kellerman feels, imagine that he's that executive or that scout asking a player one of these questions. Whatever the answer may be, very well may not be about him trying to get a rise out of him or trying to get a reaction out of him. It may be about him trying to attach his core beliefs to somebody else and saying, this is what I want you to feel and this is what I want you to believe if you're going to be a member of this team and this league. And the NFL itself is saying that's inappropriate. There's no cause for it, which is why the executive director of the Players Association, DeMaurice Smith, said the team represented by that scout who asked that question should be banned from the combine because they're all saying there's no place for that in our league. That's not a gateway we'd like to open.
Stephen A., you're 100% right. I don't disagree with a single thing that you just said. It's a balance of what kind of potential discrimination are you allowing for against weighing what somebody's psychological setting is, right? And that's why the sexual orientation question of all of them is off limits, because we can clearly see how that would open the door for discrimination, specifically a kind of discrimination that is against the law. But my larger point is, because that's not the only question we're talking about here, right? There was a whole host of ridiculous questions. And my point is, those ridiculous questions are designed to elicit more information. Not wrong or right answers. That's why I'm debating you, Max. Hold on. That's why I'm debating you, Max. If I ask you if your mother is a prostitute, there is, I don't know, Max, and you have a different opinion, perhaps. What's the right answer to that? What's the wrong answer to that? Do you want, if a guy gets mad, does it show he stands up for himself? If a guy gets mad, does it show he has a quick temper and could have problems off the field? I don't know, Max. I'm not the psychologist. What I do know is this.
Let me clarify.
Hold on, last point. More information is good. More info is good. Outrage and silence, that's bad.
No, well, no, that's, first of all, what you just said is wrong on its face. Information can be noise. You're looking for signal, obviously, and I assume you know that. More information is not always good if the information is relevant. It can crowd out the space needed to make real good evaluations, and I believe this is an example of that. Let me also clarify, Stephen A., of course I'm not suggesting anyone punch anyone else in the face. I'm talking about the kind of reaction I'd be looking for in a recruit if that question was asked. Would he sit there docilely and just allow it to be asked? Or would there be an immediate physical reaction if someone said that about his mother? If I'm the coach of a full contact sport, as much as I'd like discipline, I'd also like to see some fight in him. Will, what you're referring to is like that scene from The Untouchables where they go to the police academy and they insult the one kid, he doesn't know what he's doing, and Sean Connery does, and then they insult Andy Garcia and he pulls out on him and insults him right back. And so Sean Connery says, "Oh, I like this guy. I like to see that fight in him." You're saying maybe they're looking to see fight in the kid. Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know.
The point is the expectations, right, you don't know. The point is the expectations of an interview play into the behavior of the interviewee. And I don't think in most cases someone being interviewed for a job thinks that the appropriate reaction is outrage toward the interviewer.
I just worry if we followed your path, Max, that scene in The Untouchables, it had never happened.
All right. I would hope there's a better way to elicit the responses that they're looking for, because the whole thing makes me very uncomfortable. The NFL just released a statement essentially saying a question such as this is completely inappropriate and completely contrary to league workplace policies. Coming up, J.J. Watt sounds off on the media's question on Josh Rosen's dedication to football. We'll get into that. And will Trae Young and the Oklahoma Sooners make the NCAA tournament after another loss last night? Seth Greenberg joins us from the ACC tournament.